Chicago versus everybody. It's a fun take, a positive take on real estate news, highlighting some positive things going on in Chicago and also educating you on some current trends on the housing market in general. I have some really good stories to cover, and I thank you guys, all five of you at this point, that have watched me. It's been a fantastic experience thus far, and hopefully, more and more people will join and enjoy this. And if you are watching this and you have any sort of feedback, positive, negative, ways that you like, ways that you don't like, please, I'd love to hear from you. Honestly, are there stories you want me to cover? Is there anything that you see that I'm messing up on? This is a work in progress. It's a project of love that I've always wanted to do. So I obviously want to make this show as perfect as possible, and I rely on you for that type of feedback. All right, so let's go into it. I'm gonna talk about the first story that I think is going to be obviously it's top of mind. It's highly affecting what the market is going to do in the next few months. And that is the Fed's decision yesterday to not raise interest rates on their end, and also signaling that they are actually like, I don't want to call them optimistic, because I feel like they take the pessimistic route on purpose to kind of level everybody's expectations and also continue a, let's call it an atmosphere of mystique about where the Fed wants to take and thinks this is going, because honestly, nobody knows, right? And even the Fed is saying, listen, at this point in time, it seems like the indicators are showing us that it's not necessary to increase interest rates to continue to have inflation go down, because inflation does continuously, seemingly in the last few months, is continuously going down. Indicators are showing improvement, but we're still, again, trying to hit a soft landing, right? So that means that it's this perfect balance of slowing down a super hot economy, but not slowing it down too much so that it triggers a recession. So Jerome Powell, my man, is in the captain's seat. And honestly, he has one of the hardest jobs in the world, in my opinion. And he has so many, you can't, it's like a lose-lose position, right? Because you're going to affect so many people with whichever route you push the bank towards, right? But everybody's watching him, and I speak on behalf of brokers, right? I'm always talking about interest rates, and even though the way that Fed's interest rate doesn't affect immediately how the interest rate you get on your of quotes from mortgage lenders or whatnot, it doesn't affect that directly, but it is a huge indicator of where interest rates should and will be going, right? So let's kind of dive into this article a little bit. The Fed, they're signaling that, again, like I said, that they see um, we're moving in the right direction. But like I said, the pessimistic route, we are not confident. Powell said that the Fed's benchmark rate is high enough to steadily reduce inflation to 2%. So it has shrunk from 9.1% peak last year to 3.7%, but the target goal has always been 2%, right? And when you're talking about a slow moving train, which is the economy, that your decision 6, 9, 12 months ago is what affects what's happening today. You need to be able to see as many and use as many indicators as possible to then make the right decisions today that's going to affect the outcomes in the, not even tomorrow, like in the tomorrow of 6 months. However, they are as optimistic as I've seen them on in regards to forecasting for my industry, the real estate industry. So that to me is a big signal. Little side note, okay? This is what's going to happen, in my opinion. The overall consensus and thought is interest rates are going to go down. And when are they going to go down to break the 7% mark? Is it going to go down to the sixes, low sixes, high fives? I don't think we're going to hit that. We're going to talk to Kyle from Stonehaven in a little bit. I'd love to pick his brain on how low he thinks it's going to go. But when the interest rates go down, even by a point or whatnot, the amount of inflow that's going to happen into the market when it comes to buyers is going to dramatically increase prices. I really see a massive increase in the amount of the cost of buying homes in the next 6 to 9 months. So we're talking to a lot of people right now that are kind of in the waiting game. Should I buy? Should I not? I have time, or whatnot. If you have a mindset to buy within the next 12 months, I don't personally think that there is a better time to lock something in if you can find the right opportunity, and it is now up until the end of the year. You can lock in a fantastic deal. I'm getting incredible deals out there because buyers just aren't making moves. And then what you can do is, even though you're going to lock in a high interest rate, or higher interest rate than what's going to be, let's call in the next 6 months, you're going to ride this wave of value increase. So you're going to absorb all of that equity that's going to come with the demand, the surge of demand, and you're going to get ahead of it. So then you're going to get this rise of equity in your value of your home, right? And then in 6 months, you refinance. So you can get best of both worlds. When you're buying a house, you have to start thinking bigger when it comes to finances, right? Obviously, everybody is in the immediate. What is it going to cost me today? But me as a real estate professional, I the way that I talk to my clients is talking to them about the whole investment approach mindset when it comes to buying a house. You're buying a home, I'm helping you buy an investment, because at the end of the day, my number one goal is to make sure you make money when you go sell it. That's the way that I see and the way that I consult with my clients. So everything for me is, when I see the opportunity for increased value, I tell my clients to jump on it. Now, inventory isn't fantastic. It's actually down historically, right? But if you can find something, right? I'm not saying go out and just buy something blindly, but keep an open mind. And if you're looking to buy in the next 6 to 9 months, I'm telling you, there are deals that are so good that they can get you financially a year ahead in regards to how much money you can save today, and then ride that wave of equity and then refinance. It is the best way to think about home buying. I'm just telling you right now. Okay. All right. So kind of let's keep diagnosing this thing. So Jerome Powell also, by the way, he had to get off of the stage yesterday from climate protesters coming in and doing their thing. Thank God they didn't bring a hammer and try to, like, I don't know, knock the podium, because that's what they like to do with arts and whatnot. And at the end of the day, hey, listen, we got to talk about climate change. We got to do our thing. But hey, when the man Jerome Powell speaks, let the man speak. All right. He's not trying to do anything except help all of us. So that was an interesting thing where he had to get rushed off stage for a few minutes. Thankfully, he is okay. So one of the things that I also wanted to kind of note is that the indication. Let me see where I can find it. The indication for one of the main indicators that they look at is unemployment, and unemployment rate ticked up again. It's still at a low of 3.9%. And employers added a solid 150,000 jobs last month, which is indicating a cooler market and modest pay growth. Now, that might seem like negative news, right? And it's, of course, like, everybody wants to make more money and wants to see more money in the bank. But you have to understand that when wages are out of control and employers have a very difficult time finding employees, and they have to increase the amount that they're paying for people to incentivize them to come, that just feeds into the inflation, right? Because then companies have to charge more money because it costs them more money. Workers are making more money, but now it's costing them more money to buy these goods. And it's just this kind of battle of more, 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 more. That's how inflation works. So this indication is one of the positive pieces of information that Jerome Powell and his team was using to indicate that, hey, looks like things are going the right direction, but we have to stay cautious. A pessimistic optimist, my man Jerome Powell. A little fun note as well: if you're on Instagram, the Federal Reserve, they started an Instagram channel. Actually, I think it was like last month, and the first post, I was on the floor. I was dying because it was Jerome Powell. And the last thing this man wants to do is to do more press stuff. And you can tell, this is the first post. I'm gonna play it for just a second. This is the first post that Jerome Powell, that the Federal Reserve did. And Jerome Powell is there, and he's just looking like my grandpa, just like for the first time in front of a camera. And he's like, why? I do not want to do this. My man, Jerome Powell, look at this guy. Look at this guy. I mean, I can't play the audio here, but he just is like, it looks like he was on his way to lunch, right? Finally had a minute for himself, and they were like, "Hey, J man, come over here. We're starting a new channel, and we want you to say a few words." And this man is just like, he's like, "Fine." This is his demeanor in this video, and this video is what got me to follow the Federal Reserve because I was like, this is everything. I love that. So that's a little one fun thing. I'm a man J Dog. So keep it up, Jerome. We're cheering you on. Keep doing the hard work that all of us are very much appreciative of. All right, let's go on to the next story. So we are talking about emerging trends in Chicago, right? Because for me, when I'm looking at what is coming and what is the positive momentum, it also indicates to me where potential future investment opportunities come from. The World Business Chicago, which is the arm of Chicago that tries to get people to come, move to, and has businesses invest in the city, they came out with this really good report. It kind of just shows the strengths of the Chicago market. And one of the things that I wanted to point out here is the emerging markets that Chicago is starting to see play in. And one of the places is in the life sciences biotech side of investment. And you're starting to see a lot of industrial investment there in Chicago. We're getting a lot of leases signed, a lot of wins with that. So if you take a look at this, some of the top emerging trends and industries in Chicagoland, right? You have gene therapeutics, you have digital freight brokerage, interesting, carbon capture, which is just mind blowing. They just opened up the first carbon capture site, I think, right outside of San Francisco, and literally these buildings are just there to capture carbon out of the air, right? So we won't stop producing carbon. So now there's a huge emerging trend to capture that carbon from the air, which is so interesting to me. In Chicago, has over a $3.3 billion investment since 2014 in that side. AI-driven drug discovery, over 1.4 billion. Quantum, generative AI, digital. Listen, like that's beyond. That's way above my head. I'm just like trying to it sounds like a smart industry. And then hydrogen energy is at 705 million. Now, one of the things that I also wanted to point out is that over 1,000 graduates from Illinois universities have found a company in the past 5 years, which is fantastic. However, one of the negatives of that is that we are producing all of this talent that is seemingly going to the coasts. And one of the ways that we are starting to confront that is there's a story that came out that Chicago's budding biotech hub just got an investment from the federal government and some other places that is meant to invest in people that in new technologies in this sector to keep it in Chicago. Because one of the biggest things is that we want to have we don't want a brain drain, right? We want people to once they study this, the life sciences, the tech, the side of things, biotech. You want them to stay in the city and then contribute. So this is a move that Chicago is a big win for Chicago. It's not being talked about enough. That is basically creating an investment hub for people that are creating new technologies in these sectors to then stay in Chicago to build this out. And the last thing I wanted to point out is that there was the story the Real Deal ran that there was life sciences labs buildings kind of are popping up all around Chicago. These developers, they see it. They're years ahead when it comes to knowing what demand is going to be. And even though there's all this negative news about commercial buildings staying vacant, one of the hottest sectors that they can't build quick enough is for this specific side of investment and in industrial. So Tremel Crow just leased 34,000 square feet in the Fulton Labs building, which is at where is that? It's on 400 North Aberdeen Street, and they also last year. They for Mark Zuckerberg and his wife, Dr. Priscilla Chan, they also rented 28,000 square feet commitment to that building and plans to invest $250 million to attract top tier scientists and solve major health challenges. I mean, if we can just head this as Chicago and keep getting this type of positive investment, there's only positive momentum that comes from this. And one of the best things is that, yeah, Fulton Market's getting a lot of hype. There's a lot of buildings going up in there, but there's also Hyde Park Labs at 52nd and Harper Avenue that is getting this types of investment. So all throughout the city, Fulton, Hyde Park, which is right or next to University of Chicago, are getting these investments as well. So when we're keeping people because of that investment to see if we can invest in people's businesses in the sector, when we are renting this amount of square footage for new budding industries, and then we have a double down effort to get more people in these industries to move to Chicago, that is going to be a great thing. And we're seeing a lot of apartment buildings getting built. We're seeing a lot of housing demand going up. So yes, it's going to feed into some heightened prices when it comes to buying or whatnot. But in the overall positive momentum for Chicago, this is such a dire need to be able to attract these things. Chicago has its challenges, but there are a lot of positive things coming out of the city. And if you love Chicago as much as I do, you need to not look past, you need to be able to not go into the hype of all of this negativity that is the only thing that is getting promoted out there for our beautiful city. But you also have to then be able to promote these positive stories so that when people are talking this negative crap about our city, we double down and we say, yes, but, and this is a yes, but story. So thought that was great. Now, let me go to, oh, look at that. All of them. Let's show the people how I can dance and all of this. Look at that. Let's cut to our conversation with the one and only Kyle Ernst with Stonehaven. Let's get an update on market interest rates and where we're at with everything. Kyle, my God, there are like a million of Kyles. Look how shiny he is. I love it. 1 second. Can we put me on there? How many Kyles do we need to see at once? How many Kyles can he fit on a screen? I am literally hidden. Okay, there we go. Kyle, how we doing, man? How's everything?
Good, man. How you doing, Greg?
I'm good. I have to look like a DJ because this is echoing in my ear and it's just making me all messed up. So I'm going to listen to you. I would love to hear. Give us a market minute update on where things stand.
Yeah, as you said, the Fed, didn't hike rates, and although they're kind of cautious about what's to happen with the Fed interest rate, they didn't want to say we're not going to increase it. They didn't say we're going to increase it. They're just going to monitor it, but overall, the market has accepted the fact that they don't think it's going to be an increase in the Fed funds rate, and rates have dropped. So now we're getting rates in the mid to low sevens, some even in the high sixes. It has touched there. So I think.
When's the last time it even touched sixes, Kyle?
It's been about 3 months, I think. That's been like in the sixes, and then before that, it was in the sevens. So it touched, and it was barely there, and it shot back up. So I think we're gonna start to see that slow, soft landing, as you said. The trajectory is gonna go down. It's not gonna skyrocket, or the opposite. It's gonna come down crashing, but it's gonna just be a slow trajectory down. So to your point, we'll probably be in that mid to low sixes, probably like spring, summer. Will we hit fives this year? I think we might touch high fives towards the end of the year. And I think we'll really get that mid fives, come 2025.
Cool. Thank you for that. So one of the best news stories is also about that multi-unit, new limits and whatnot. That has launched this month, right?
So the launch is happening over the November 18th weekend when Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are updating their automated underwriting systems. However, we are doing that right now. So we actually locked in one 3-unit property and one 4-unit property with 5% down already this week. We just can't close it until after the 18th weekend when Fannie and Freddie updates. And the rates aren't that bad. People thought that rates were going to be like in the mid to high 8s with points. We locked both of these loans in the mid 7s for a 5% down
Amazing.
on 4-unit property.
So good stuff. I think that again is going to be one of the best places for primary owners if they're looking for an investment style buy, right? Yeah. To leverage a positive a financial incentive with high interest rates, right? So you're trying to stabilize. I don't know if there's a better product right now than to go and to buy a multi-unit. What do you think?
Yeah, it's hot right now, especially first time home buyers looking to kind of own real estate. It's kind of shifted. Why am I looking for a condo where I can buy a lot more and get a lot more value and appreciation for my long-term retirement, 30, 40 years down the road, like buy my first, home as a multi-unit and then eventually move out of there and you can rent it out and just keep it for life.
Got it. Got it. All right. What else are you seeing out there, Kyle? Anything you wanna let the public know about?
I think the only thing regarding like the new condo rules with Fannie and Freddie, how they're kind of dissecting condos a bit more. We thought it's going to be a little worse than expected. It hasn't really tripped up any condo approvals. So a lot of that fear that was out there about inspections in the last 3 years hasn't been that big of a deal whatsoever. Hasn't slowed down or denied much of anything on our end, and we're not really hearing too much from other lenders. So besides that, I think everything is starting to pick up here a little bit with rates coming down. People that have been on sidelines for 3 months when rates have been in the high 7s and 8%, they're starting to come back and get back in the market. So I think we're starting off, or we're ending the year on a positive trajectory, and I think that's just going to continue to go into next year.
So I made a claim that I think right now is going to be the best for the next 2 months. From now for the next 2 months will be the best time to buy for the next 6 to 9 months. Would you back up that claim?
Doctor, I concur.
Okay. Sounds good. Kyle, thank you so much for joining us. Kyle Ernst with Stonehaven, our go-to favorite lender, period. Thank you again for joining us, brother.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Greg.
Right. Have a great weekend, man. All right. So I always like to end on one fun thing. And again, Chicago, good news story. The Time Out has come out with its 40 coolest neighborhoods in the world. And at number 19, let me see if I can quickly scroll down here, I already mentioned it once, is Hyde Park, coming in as a top 19 neighborhood in the entire world. Man, that just jumped out. If you've ever been to Hyde Park, you're going to probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Hyde Park so first off, it's where University of Chicago is in. It is right next to Jefferson Park, which is where the original World's Fair was held. The architecture is beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful across Chicago, but down there is just amazing. You have some of the best museums. You're right next to the lake. And now you actually have Virtue, which is a Michelin-starred restaurant, amazing art exhibits are coming over there. There's great shopping. It's just a budding, beautiful neighborhood. And whenever I'm down there, I'm just fascinated by the real estate. I love to walk the parks. I love to bring my family down there. So, give it up for Hyde Park. The real estate there actually is quite affordable comparatively to what you're looking to buy. So, Hyde Park coming in strong, number 19 out of the entire world. So love seeing that for my city. So that is all I got. That is Chicago versus everybody. I hope you have taken some positive news from this. Hopefully that you can take this that you learned today and apply it some way, somehow to benefit yourself. And if I can be of any assistance, if I can answer any questions, if you want me to feature any sort of story. And if you know of any positive Chicago stories, please send them my way. I'd love to feature that. All right. Grigori Piekarski, best of